Good morning. We're here on Jekyll Island and we've rented one of these red bug cars and we're going to spend all day touring Jekyll Island. This is one of the beaches on Jekyll Island and it is quite unique. Look at all this standing driftwood, I guess, future driftwood. All these dead trees on the beach. I said, I guess they don't allow fires here on the beach, or people would have sawed up these things and burned them in the firewood. Laura said, yep, no fires on the beach. It's very pretty. Just all these dead trees. I wonder what it looks like from above. Oh, we have a drone. Let's see how that looks.
So we've had this drone for a while now, but I'm always worried about that if there's too much wind. It's a smaller drone, so I worry about the wind. So we finally were able to take it out someplace pretty, which was at this driftwood beach, which I really wanted to see. And I didn't realize it was really all just driftwood that was still standing. I thought it was going to be like laying on the ground. But this is like trees that are still standing that are now driftwood.
We're not too good at flying the drone because we got it out near the water's edge and we were trying to figure out how to make the camera point, but it was apparently pointed straight down. And then we lost it in the sun. We really couldn't. We knew it was up there. We were trying to get it out from our view in the sun. So I'm walking around trying to see it, and then there's like, which way is it pointed? Because when you tell it to go forward, it goes forward no matter which way it's pointed. So you have to kind of see it. So we started flying it around, and then we flew it over with this guy who's climbing up a tree. And then we got there and he started climbing down. I guess he thought we were going to run into him. So now I'm flying it back from the tree, back to the water. And I got it out of the sun, and I got it sort of pointed back at us. The camera's still pointing straight down. We haven't figured out how to make the camera move around yet. And then I learned that we tried to make it land on our hand, and every time it come down, the auto voice would make it go back up. So we learned to put the hand up and then make it land in your hand, and then the camera took over. Then Laura's a good lander, and I grab it. So this is what we got to try to do.
This is the Jekyll Island Club. According to what we've learned, it was the most exclusive club at the turn of the 20th century. Founded by J.P. Morgan and Rockefeller and Pulitzer. They built this place along with these cottages we're going to tour later, to spend January, February, and March every year in a warmer climate to get away from New York. It's absolutely beautiful.
So this turret on the top up there was the office of the gentleman that would meet the boats as they came aboard, as they came up to the wharf.
Yeah, they didn't have a bridge then, so Rockefeller and them would pull up in their boats or go into town in Brunswick, and they would take a smaller boat across, and he would go down and meet them. I guess he had to see them coming.
Well, let me tell you about this cottage to our right. This is Indian Mound, and you notice the big pile or the swale that's in the front yard. That's actually an Indian mound or an Indian midden. When William Rockefeller bought this house in 1904, it was considerably higher, and he had it chopped down because it was kind of blocking his view out to the river. But he was really excavating it because he heard rumors that it contained the bones of Indian chiefs. He wanted to dig that up. But instead, all they found were a whole bunch of oyster shells, animal bones, and broken pottery, because that's actually an Indian midden, which is a term for an Indian trash pile.
Oh, okay. Come on in.
wife Annie was an artist. She created or established Shinnecock Hills Art Institute. I don't know if it's an institute, but she was an artist. But she loved being a politician's wife. Hence the parties on the lawn out there. But she would take all this furniture that was in here, put it out on the lawn, put up party umbrellas, and lay out her good linens for the ladies so that they didn't get grass stains on their pretty white dresses. So they were a very, very interesting couple. And then the people that bought it after them.
This is the remains of the Horton House. Plantation from the 18th century. Interesting. Wow. This must have been a chimney here. Bricked over the fireplace. Here's a close-up of that aggregate concrete. Oh, this must have been the kitchen. Got a big hearth here. This is a pretty backyard. This is a park at the south end of Jekyll Island, and the whole park is set up to sort of tell the story of a slave ship that was unloaded here in 1858. They used the isolation of this island as a place to drop these slaves off from a ship called the Wanderer, because it was illegal to transport slaves at this time. But they snuck in, unloaded them. There was 409 slaves, and the word quickly got out to Brunswick that there were slaves over here, and the Savannah authorities came down and seized the ship and arrested all the people that were involved. It turned out to be a big conspiracy, and put them on trial. But since they were dealing with slaves, they were all acquitted, and the slaves were given to them, even though it was against the law, and they were distributed and sold in New Orleans and Texas and various places in the South. It's an interesting story, one that I had never heard before, and this little park down here tells the story very well.
March 9th, and we are leaving Jekyll Island. This is the north end of Jekyll Island here. We spent 3 days here. We We spent an extra night because it was so beautiful and such a wonderful place to be. I enjoyed the nature parts of it along with the opulence from the turn of the 20th century. So it was a beautiful place to be. I would definitely encourage people to come to Jekyll Island. We got away about 9:30, I guess, and we are running faster than usual. We're running about 12 miles an hour, I think. It's a good place to do it because we're in the middle of nowhere. There are no wake zones, there's no marinas. We're trying to make up a little bit of time. There's a storm coming. Not a storm, there's wind coming. And we are headed to Savannah. So we're hoping to get to Savannah before the wind. So we're traveling north through Georgia's low country area. And we're going 50 miles today. And we're going to anchor out tonight in the Wahoo River. And then we're going to travel tomorrow another 50 miles and we're going to get to Savannah. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so it's pretty today. It was a very pretty day, but it's going to rain tomorrow, and we're just going to have, but there's very little wind, so we're going to just go through it, wear my raincoat, and we can't just sit still every time there's a rainstorm. Well, we had a rainy night in Georgia. We're in a really pretty anchorage between Jekyll Island and Savannah, and we're the only people here. The depth here, I think, was 15 feet, something like that. It started raining in the middle of the night. The tide changes here, or the tides have a big change. What was it, Chris? 7 feet?
No, 6.5.
6.5 feet? Okay. And so we did switch around twice, but Chris was awesome and got up and made sure everything was okay, and it was. It's a rainy morning also, but we are going to leave and make our way to Savannah today. And that is the Atlantic Ocean out there. This is an inlet for the Atlantic Ocean. This is a convergence of two rivers, the Medway River and the Bear River. I think the Bear River's coming from that way. It is a rainy day. It's a Friday. There are no other boats out here. It's not too bad. It's not real rocky or anything. I see some white caps out there, but it's not bad. And we just have to get across the sound. It's supposed to be a sunshiny day tomorrow in Savannah. We're 35 miles, I think, from Savannah. And so we'll get there this afternoon, and then it's going to be sunshiny and pretty tomorrow when we do our exploring of the city. So I'd rather it be rainy and yucky while we're traveling and pretty while we're exploring. We were in the Sound back there. You can still see some waves happening. But now we've turned into Bear River, and so we're behind this, or beside this barrier island, and it's not nearly as rocky and a lot smoother. It's wide though. This is a wide river here. Still the same wind, still the same wet, but not nearly as rocky in the ones we're back here. Right.
Here's that sailboat. All right, so we are coming up on Hell Gate. And we're going to be passing a sailboat while we do it.
With research that I had done on this area of the loop, this Hell Gate area is something that people really worry about. So it had me worried then. And there was another boat that was ahead of us about 30 minutes, and I saw that they were going through. So once they got through this stretch, I contacted them on Nebo and asked how it was, and they told me, oh, it was fine, don't worry about it. So that made me feel a little bit better, but I was still pretty nervous as we were going into this.
Yeah, it's a little channel next to this island, and we got pretty close.
13 feet of water.
And there's some shoaling off to the left, so it could get shallow at low tide, but we never saw less than, we didn't really see much shallow water, but we were careful and went through there slowly and past that sailboat.
All right, we had no trouble with the wind or the current. We were about an hour after high tide, and the shallowest we saw was 9 feet under the boat. So we hit it at a good time, I think. It was narrow, but and we got close to the island. And as always, I got worried about the other boat, the sailboat. But we got through really easily. Somebody asked recently if we would show during a storm, show video from during a storm. Usually we're not in the middle of it, but we are today. It is raining, and then Chris just put the radar on.
So you can see this line of red here, that's these trees right there. And you can see the rain is dotted, speckled stuff, that's the heavy rain there.
So the storms are coming from the west and going offshore. So we have a line of storms coming. It says there's some lightning, but we haven't seen any lightning. It looks on the radar like the rain has passed, but it's still raining in front of us. It's just, I guess, sprinkling now, maybe a hard sprinkle. I don't know what to call that. But we'll come back. Oh.
Okay, show them out there that that's all flat. See, it's all flat marsh.
It's all flat marsh this way.
And now, see, this red is all the storm. And as it's coming on, as the rain gets harder and harder, you can hear it.
Yeah, it's starting to rain hard now.
See, that sail is slid across here.
So is that more rain coming on the left?
This is that tree line right
Oh,
there.
that's the tree line.
to that tree line. It's up there.
See, as the cell is fast, now it's clear over here.
So you can see we're right in the middle of another cell there.
Just heard thunder.
So if you were out in the ocean, you could back out the radar and see these cells and drive around them. So you wouldn't get caught in all this rain or the squall of this wind. But we can't maneuver. We're in a little narrow channel and we're all inside. Doors shut, windows shut.
Yep.
And we just learn high and dry. Boats getting washed. So you can see the cells all around us. But these are trees.
These seagulls ended up following us for about 20 miles in and out of rain cells, and they were just picking off shrimp as we went along.
We are still in Georgia. We're headed towards Savannah. We're 8 miles from our marina in Savannah. You wouldn't know that you're 8 miles from Savannah. This is really pretty. Looks like we're done with all that marshland, although there's marsh in front here. But all that marsh, and it's made way for mix of pine and hardwoods, is what Chris said.
Laura's getting ready to dock in the rain. Although she's dressed like she's going to Ice Station Zebra.
We arrived at Thunderbolt Marina in the pouring rain, and we were so glad to get docked and out of our wet clothes. We look like wet rats. So join us next week as we explore Savannah. If you haven't already, please subscribe.